Thanks for joining us today for our webinar, Reach New Heights in the Cloud, or JDE and Oracle Fusion webinar. So I am really thrilled to announce our panel of experts today. We have Brian Rose. He is the VP of Digital Transformation here at Trillium. Jennifer Turner, Senior Director and Solution Architect. Rod Johnson, EVP for Applications in North America for Oracle, and Michael Hogan. He is the Oracle Cloud Managed Services Lead here at Trillium. And for today's agenda, we're going to start out with Rod talking to cloud applications, some insights and transition there. Moving on to Jennifer Turner for Tailoring Fusion, looking at the roadmap and modifications. Brian Rose, some voice of the customer and some transition tools. Then finally ending with Michael Hogan talking to managed services and their overall benefits and the offerings that are available. And then we'll go into that Q&A. So without any further ado, I will go ahead and kick this over to Rod.
Great, thanks Amanda. Welcome to all the attendees. Really great to be here with you. And want to spend a few minutes with a few objectives. One is just to make sure everyone's up to date on some of the strategy and action at Oracle. Secondly, to sort of talk about the evolution of our cloud offerings, our SaaS offerings. Clearly, that's been an area of tremendous investment over the last sort of decade plus. I'll give you an update on that. And then really most maybe meaningfully talk about what we see as the most common transition paths available to you. There's not one size fits all for sure when it comes to evaluating new capabilities in the cloud. So we see different paths for different clients, and I think are all have the potential of some real business value associated with them. So again, I'm Rod Johnson. I have responsibility for the applications business in North America. When I say applications, that's very holistic. I have responsibility for the JD Edwards customer base, as well as all the Fusion SAAS customers. And I was just recently remembering it's actually been 20 years. It's hard to imagine that when Oracle announced the initial acquisition of PeopleSoft, that was 2003. Obviously, JD Edwards was acquired by PeopleSoft in that time frame as well. So it's been 20 years that the JD Edwards customer base has been a part of the Oracle family. We obviously greatly value those clients, and hopefully you feel like we've maintained a strong commitment to continue to support all of our customers, not just ones that are moved to the SaaS offerings. So I thought I'd start with a little bit of sort of Oracle momentum. This is not a bragging slide. I guess it is a little bit, but obviously Oracle has gotten a lot of recognition recently in the market. We've been through really a decade-long transformation of our business from a business that was, primarily on-premise database applications to become a cloud company. And cloud company is a lot of things, but it's a massive change in our business model and our operating model and how we build software. So it's been many years, many billions of dollars of investment, and now we're sort of finally getting recognition from the market as a whole for the innovation and value we're bringing to our clients. So we just finished our fiscal year, the end of May, recently. And we announced we've for the first time hit 50 billion in annual revenue, based on a real acceleration of our cloud business. Not only the SaaS, ERP, HR, CX business, which is doubled in the last since FY20. A lot of sort of company-specific momentum, and it's really based upon creating value for clients. Around new processes in the cloud, as well as becoming a market leader in powering this next generation of AI technologies, this Gen AI technology. One of the things you heard, if you followed this, I think we sold more than $2 billion in new contracts for AI players. So we're really participating in helping build out that new, potentially revolutionary technology, supporting those companies, but also building that into our offerings. When we talk about our overall strategy, especially from the application standpoint, we tend to talk about sort of three things. One, our goal is to build everything you need. So really, when we set out to build Fusion, the idea was we weren't going to build just an ERP system or just an HR system or just a customer experience platform, but we set up with the goal we really wanted to build an end-to-end integrated suite of capabilities encompassing the customer, products, financials, operations, procurement, supply chain, and all of the human resources requirements. So it's a pretty daunting effort, and we wanted to do that for multiple industries, and we wanted to incorporate all of our learnings from JD Edwards, from PeopleSoft, from eBusiness Suite, from Demantra, from Agile. Bringing a lot of best of breed capabilities into that offering. So again, it's a decade plus of investment, and we're now at a very strong position. If you look at just the external analyst reports, in the last year, I think we've gotten 51 leadership quadrant rankings for the offerings within our portfolio. So, our engineering team has done a really incredible job building out really, really compelling functionality. We believe it's built on the best technology. We're an integrated stack provider, so we're leveraging the best of our middleware, the best of our security, the best of our cloud infrastructure. And just to give you an example, this past year we moved our entire SaaS portfolio from first generation cloud infrastructure to our Gen 2 cloud infrastructure. And that's really the benefit of SaaS, that automatically our customers got 30% performance improvement. They didn't have to do anything; it just came automatically as part of the migration. Our number two principle is we want to deliver innovation that really matters. At this point, we've pretty much built out, have customers using all of the capabilities that are pretty much were available, and whether it was JD Edwards or eBusiness Suite. Certainly some industry specific areas that are still in development, but by and large, we're much more functionally complete than we ever were in any of our on-premise solutions. So the benefit now is we get to turn our 25,000 Fusion developers on innovation. So there's a huge innovation agenda around usability, mobility, AI, obviously, both machine learning, build machine learning, anomaly detection, predictive models into the applications and financials. Now bringing generative AI into the system to automate manual work. For example, in our HR system, we just delivered our first set of Gen AI applications that automate, creating a job description. You don't have to type that, or you can go and have the system create job descriptions, which are sourced based upon the knowledge across the internet, or you can use them to create performance reviews based upon data in the system. So we're really working on applying those new practices and technologies into the solution. So the innovation we're delivering is pretty remarkable. On a quarterly basis, we're delivering a ton of both customer-driven innovation and market-driven innovation around new technology, new ways of working. And probably the most important change at Oracle is and especially within the SaaS world, is we are a service provider now. It's our job to make sure that the systems operate and perform as they're expected. It's our job to keep them secure. It's our job to make sure we're helping you consume the innovation you're paying for. It's our job to help make sure you've got the skills in your organization. We're training you because you're betting on us to become an extension to your organization, not just a software provider. So we've done a lot of work there to sort of build out customer communities, best practice communities, time to value, focus, etc. As I said before, we're at a point where the offerings in the clouds the SaaS far ahead in terms of functional completeness. That the biggest investment we have now is around building out more industry-specific last mile functionality. So, depending on your industry, obviously JDE Edwards had a track record in a number of industries, both through our own development as well as a network of ISVs, where we're working to build, a really comprehensive offering across, finance, operations, supply chain, manufacturing, construction. You can go into a lot of segments of the market. The other big areas of investment are analytics. So I think one of the areas of historic dissatisfaction with enterprise software is its systems are really good at collecting information. They aren't that great at turning that data into something that helps us make really great decisions and gives us visibility, insights that we don't have. So in addition to providing the core apps and basic reporting and business intelligence inherent to those, Fusion Analytics is a huge investment area where we're pre-building KPIs, dashboards, industry-specific data templates into a Fusion Analytics platform. So that's an area where we're considerably ahead of where we were in the past, and a lot of customers are seeing tremendous value there. One of the innovations we're working on is what we call Oracle B2B. So most systems today have been built for sort of operate within the four walls of the enterprise. But when it comes to interconnecting with suppliers, banks, logistics partners, the systems haven't done a very good job. Of course, we have EDI and other techniques, but the opportunity to having much more rich integration with your network is a big opportunity, because a lot of the data that you need to run your business sits outside of your four walls of your business. A lot of the processes are enabled outside of your business. So it's another big area we're working on tackling. And the fact that we have 40,000 companies now who are live using our ERP systems, whether that be NetSuite or our Fusion ERP system, we have a tremendous opportunity to begin to solve this B2B integration problem. So the first wave is we're integrating banks. We announced JP Morgan, we'll announce many other banks where the payment processing, P-card automation will come right out of the box. So you want to make a payment, you want visibility into your balances, all that integration will be dynamically built. And we're working also with logistics network, starting with FedEx and a few of the other large logistic providers. So that becomes, the integrations become out of the box, and then suppliers and others will be coming. So this is an area that we never would have been able to tackle on premise, because everyone had a different version of the software, different data standards. But I think the biggest challenge is now we really our customers rely a lot more, not just on us to provide support, but peer-to-peer exchange of information. What's the best practice for setting up approval tolerances for certain type of procurement issues? Instead of going to us, they can go to a network of other companies using the same functionality to source ideas, to source expertise. So this Customer Connect is now over 300,000 members. Every product area has discussion forums. We're sourcing ideas around new product enhancements from this, and we're also providing events. We want to help our clients utilize the software more effectively, and created an online digital community to sort of enable that. So just some of the things that we're doing that may be a little bit different from what you've experienced from Oracle in the past. So I want to just finish with talking a bit about what are the trends within the customer base. So JDE Edwards continues to have a very rich, vibrant customer community. It's obviously a great application. It's served many of our clients extremely well over the years. But we have seen an acceleration of clients begin to move move to ERP in part, or move to one of our edge applications. So here's a few examples of clients that you might have experienced in the past that are now rolling out cloud ERP. So in the last area of focus, just wanted to sort of spend 1 minute on one topic. You can go to the next slide. Is the idea that there's lots of different paths to the cloud, and I don't even think cloud is to be considered the right destination. It's really about modern business systems that help you create better experiences for your employees and customers. So there's basically 4 patterns that we've seen. I think it's really company dependent on the amount of change that they're experiencing in the business, the need for change. The 4 patterns are pretty simple. One is like, hey, my business is pretty stable, not a lot of change. Well, focus on operational excellence. You want to take costs out of operating it. So we're seeing a lot of companies migrate to OCI or another hosting provider just to lower the cost of operation. 2, we've seen a lot of companies innovate at the edge, keep JD Edwards at the core and bring high value solutions around JD Edwards, around supply chain planning, CPQ. We've seen a lot of companies take up divisional modernization. Hey, we'll keep the core on one, but the new divisions need new systems, new capabilities. So we've seen a lot of companies start there in a single division. And then of course, there's a bunch that are moving all in with a more transformational mindset. But regardless of the path, I think that the opportunity to work with Trillium or Oracle is to try to figure out how we can add value to your business. So with that, I will transition to our next speaker, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rod. Appreciate it. All right, up next, we are going to hop on with Jennifer Turner. And Jennifer, I think you are set to go.
I am ready. Thank you, Amanda. And thank you very much, Rod. Great intro to the next section that we're going to cover. So as I mentioned, I'm Jennifer Turner, Senior Director and Solution Architect here at Trillium. And in the next section, we're going to be taking a little bit deeper dive into those paths that Rod finished up with. Before we do that, though, I thought we'd just take a few minutes just to discuss who Trillium is and a little bit about our history. So first of all, we consider ourselves sort of your peace of mind partner, if you will. We cover applications, including Oracle Cloud, JD Edwards, of course, which was kind of our legacy and where we got our humble beginnings, and as well as NetSuite. So with the history that we have, with all of our experiences, with the methodologies that we have developed across each one of the platforms, our motto really has become, we're only as good as our last reference. So we are really looking to make this a partnership with every one of our customers. So this year, we are fortunate to be celebrating 29 years in business, really starting with humble beginnings as a JD Edwards implementation partner in the Midwest and Cincinnati, Ohio. And what we've grown to is about 250 full-time employees based across the US. And I think one of the things I just wanted to bring up about our experience is that each one of our consultants has an average of 16 years experience. And often that's experience not just in consulting, but a lot of them have industry experience as well, which means they really have an appreciation for the position that our clients are in, allows us to be more collaborative, have our approaches be more collaborative. And really, I think it's been a part of a key to our success. So speaking of being humble, but yet not, we are proud to say that we've earned 19 Partner Excellence Awards throughout our history as a partner. Probably one of the ones we're most happy about is the Best Customer Success Story. And throughout our 29 years, we've been able to touch more than 800 Oracle customers. So let's get in and take a little bit deeper dive on as you're looking as a path forward from your JD Edwards ERP platform. It's really a big elephant. So let's talk a little bit about how you might want to break that down. So what we're going to do is, first of all, talk about some of the considerations. What are the migration options? And Rod introduced those. Then where is the cloud headed? We'll talk a little bit about that, talk about the benefits, and then we're going to pass it off, hear some actual real life stories, and then how do we get started? So let's start by talking about what some of the considerations are. So when we engage, what are some of the questions we're asking? What are some of the things that we're looking for you to provide us with additional information on as you start your journey? So in addition to what version am I on? So what would an upgrade path look like? How many versions behind am I? Can I even upgrade based upon the current system modifications that I may have done? Next, how many manual processes do I have or third-party applications? Do I have the opportunity to reduce some of those applications that are taking up resource support, costing me in license and integration fees? What are my key pain point areas? Is there an opportunity to enhance and do that sort of surround my current applications with cloud that I could really benefit from? This is probably key and one of the most important, but is my organization ready for a digital transformation? As we are seeing customers take this journey, it's not just in the old days, we used to call it a lift and shift, but they're really looking at this as the last big upgrade they're going to do. So they really want to make it a more transformational process. Another consideration is security becoming an increasing concern. I mean, you can hardly, turn on the news without hearing about another breach. So these are becoming increasing concerns and risks that organizations are having to face. And then something else that necessarily people don't think about is, am I keeping up with my competition in a race for new resources? So good resources today are scarce, and really the new ones entering the marketplace are looking to be on that new technology. They've all grown up with cell phones and technology a whole lot more than my generation. So that's what they're expecting. So managing the expectation that they're going to have things like voice activation, graphics, self-help is something that they're going to expect not only in their outside world, but also as they move into business opportunities. So let's take a deeper dive into the paths that Rod had talked about. So the first one is modernizing your Oracle Cloud with doing the Oracle Cloud infrastructure move. So we'll talk a little bit deeper into that on what are some of the use cases and then what are some of the benefits that customers are seeing from that. Then next we'll do a little bit deeper dive in the next, which is to complement what you have today, your legacy investment with JD Edwards. And then lastly, we'll talk a little bit about the migration to the cloud and really what we're seeing in the marketplace. So starting with the Oracle Cloud infrastructure. So as organizations are considering this, and a lot of them are looking at this as kind of a first step into the cloud, let's talk about what some of those use cases are that we're seeing. So one is just to move dev, test, training to a different instance so that you've got additional scalability, agility to both spin up new instances quickly, maybe try out some new pieces of technology, or even additional integrations. Next is disaster recovery. And when you think about disaster recovery, it's really going to give you that additional layer of security in the cloud, and then really moving some of the work off of your internal teams. Or some are moving production, which really you're going to gain all the benefits of what we'll talk about here in a minute. Backup and restore, so you can do this safely and with a high availability, which is something customers are enjoying. And then one of the other use cases, which is a unique opportunity, is to set it up as a reporting database. So moving workloads off your current environment, moving them to the cloud, and then going hand in hand with that is as you're looking at these migrations and as you're building up a long history of data potentially in your current JD Edwards environment, there's the opportunity to move some of that to the cloud, working together with a reporting database, still have access to all that historical data, but especially combining it, again, moving some of those workloads off of your current system. So in looking at this as an option, let's talk a little bit about what the benefits that we're seeing from our customers. So first and foremost is the reduction in costs, right? Exiting data centers and consolidating infrastructure. And what we're seeing, of course, with this sort of post-COVID world is a lot of people honestly having additional real estate. So the opportunity to be able to move and exit a current data center has become really attractive to a lot of organizations. Additionally is really paying for what you use and moving more to a subscription-based model, but at the same time still allowing you to leverage existing investments. Next, let's talk about the reduced risk. So within this environment, what you're going to have is really a high availability, right? Where you've got SLAs that are 99% uptime guaranteed. You're going to have that additional end-to-end security. You'll have or extra defenses against things like ransomware. And then really one of the things you're doing is protecting yourself against obsolescence of hardware, right? And other technologies. And then finally, what organizations are seeing is this is really giving them some additional agility and innovation, right? So I can spin up those additional instances. I can do some tests. I can connect them with other technologies, and I can do this relatively inexpensively and very quickly. So it's really allowing me to scale. So next, let's turn our attention and let's talk about the idea of complementing what you have today within your JD Edwards environment. So what you can see on the right, and Rod had spoken to several of these early on, but there's a lot of different options that you have. So you can see it can be anywhere from procurement processing, where I might pick out a specific module within there, say just sourcing or maybe supplier qualification, but I might choose to do the whole process, and we'll talk about that in a second. But what we're seeing a lot of today is moving to supply and demand management, really giving the ability to have much better visibility around that. You have the option to look at things like Oracle Transportation, Global Trade Management, Warehouse, PLM, and we're seeing a lot of that happening today. And then one of the areas that we really see a lot of today is really adding in the whole EPM or Enterprise Performance Management, where we're giving FP&A groups and finance folks much better reporting tools, with the ability to take that information really to the next level. So these would include anything from better management of spend, less rogue spend, off contract spend, better receiving time, better quality with your suppliers, better communication with your suppliers. We mentioned with the EPM modules, improved reporting capability, really giving your FP&A the best in class tools as the Oracle EPM tools are, giving them potentially the option to reduce month-end close through some of the tools, better visibility to your inventory, increasing your inventory better, of course, can lead to better inventory turns, which of course leads to real dollars. Better visibility of the overall sales cycle potentially with some of the CX tools, in addition to new opportunities, as we move potentially into the subscription management and recurring revenue models. And then with looking at some of the HCM, you'll have better management of your employees and hopefully reducing then the employee turnover. So we can look at it, as we said, more from a module, or if need be, if you've got areas, you could look at it for a full procure to pay process, in which now you're in the hybrid model. And within the cloud, Oracle is really moving to almost that whole touchless procure to pay. So looking at some of the tools that are within the Fusion applications is going to allow you to start to move in that direction as far as best practice. And then Rod had mentioned this as well, but then there's also the opportunity to take a small independent business unit or maybe a newly acquired business unit and move it directly to the cloud, possibly then utilizing the EPM tools as well to help you do some consolidations. So there really is a bevy of opportunities that you have to look at starting to move and starting to do this in a controlled fashion. And then, of course, finally, there is the opportunity to migrate entirely to Fusion from JD Edwards. So let's just take a look at what's happening in the marketplace today. So according to an IDC study, essentially what they found is that about 40% of the Oracle clients either have moved or in the process. So they're in some stage of this journey, moving to the Oracle Cloud ERP Fusion applications. But then the rest of them, 47%, are looking at within the next 2 to 10 years, with most of them looking out within the next 5 years. So we've got some interesting quotes that we've seen from customers who have already done this. And interestingly, you see the first quote there is, "We wish we had done this sooner," but they were concerned about the change. And as I mentioned, during the considerations, is that change management is certainly one of those things that can't be taken lightly. And then the other quote that I'll bring your attention to is that you are suddenly in a better place with Oracle Cloud ERP. So what do these things then equate to from a real results? So here's just some examples of what customers are seeing. So being able to close their books faster, up to 27% faster. Improvements in their procurement process, as we talked. This can, in some cases, up to 35%. And then in 56% improvement in overall payroll from customers. And really then let's talk about why this is. Where is Oracle headed directionally within the applications that are allowing companies to experience this? So first and foremost, the cloud applications are really set up to be very proactive mode, right? So data is now being pushed. The exceptions are being pushed. We're seeing increased efficiencies organizational wide because of this, with the dashboard information, connected devices information. So it's a lot more easy to be in that managed by exception. Of course, what they're also seeing, and we've talked a little bit about this, is the security and the scalability of the application. So as your organization is growing, the tools can easily grow with you. And with the built-in best practices, those are being constantly enhanced through the quarterly releases. So you're able to stay on top of those much more easily than you were in the past. And I mentioned this a couple times, but they're really focused on those next generation of users. So leveraging technology and the likes of the technology that they're using in their own lives outside of work. And the expectation is becoming that I can easily have tools that will work similarly within my workplace. So Oracle's really working on focusing towards those users. And then really the idea that at this point, you will be future-proof. You'll have continual improvement through the quarterly releases, which at this point, customers are being very vocal and adding to what the new functionality will be. And even to the point, as Rod mentioned earlier, now it's becoming much more even industry specific. So I thought I would just end my section on a note and just talk a little bit about what are some of these technologies. Hey, some of you haven't had the opportunity to see some of it, just a little bit of what is available within the application. So first and foremost, just something that I find very interesting. So Oracle has incorporated into their tool set the Oracle journey. So what a journey is it's really going to be a list or a guided task list that's going to enable users to go in and follow a path. In this case, this is an example of a new employee onboarding. So the employee is going to see the path that they need to follow to get through all of the steps. Secondly, we have the Oracle, the Oracle IDR, the Intelligent Document Recognition, which this incorporates both some artificial intelligence, but it's machine learning. And having this automated invoicing is really going to help you on your path to that full touchless procurement process that we talked about. Then next we have digital assistants. So what are digital assistants? They're really, it's what the AI sits on. They're a platform to create conversational experiences across the applications. Let's take a look at what that might look like. So in one of the areas, or in several areas, in fact, now there's at least 35, and that number could have changed by now. Oracle offers chatbots, which are digital assistants that allow you to interact in a conversational way with the software. For instance, I'm able to enter an entire expense report by my voice commands. I can do things like check inventory balances on my phone with voice commands. And I can, maybe check the number of hours of vacation I have through text or voice commands. So again, this is the type of experiences that Oracle is looking to enhance throughout the applications. So thank you. And with that, Amanda, I will pass it back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Jennifer. Appreciate that. And next up, we are going to pass this over to Brian. So Brian, I will go ahead and give you your control there, and you are set to go.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jennifer. So hey guys, thanks for joining us today. What I'm going to be talking about is kind of two key areas. So one, some of the tools that we bring to the table, Trillium brings to the table when you guys go through this type of digital transformation activity. And two, just hearing from some customers, right? Some customers who have gone through this, have understood the tools and understood the challenges associated to it, and what the outcomes ultimately were. So from a high level, there's three main tools I want to be hitting on today, and it's our Pathfinder Assessment, Ascend, and Amplify. So where a lot of organizations start is our Pathfinder Assessment. And the reason for that is they may not know what direction makes the most sense, right? They may say, hey, we had challenges in supply chain, but we don't know what opportunities we have, or we know we need to upgrade or make a move, but we don't know what those are. That's exactly what our Pathfinder Assessment is built to do. So it's a repeatable approach that we come in and help organizations really create a strategic roadmap of where do we go from here, right? So we start with understanding the current state, and then we start to build out and run through workshops. So these workshops are on site, working with your individual users to determine in the key areas of order to cash, procure to pay, plan to produce, record to report, where are our challenges today? Where are some opportunities that we can leverage? And we take all that information and determine, hey, based on X, Y, and Z, these are some recommendations or strategic roadmaps that we see as a fit for you guys based on what we know from a best practices perspective of both the process and the technology, and how we've seen other organizations approach this type of activity. So these are some examples, right? And we've talked about it a lot today, but everyone has a different journey, right? We may come back and say, hey, based on current state, we recommend do an upgrade, get an OCI, and then look for the future move 5 to 7 years from now. Or we could say, you know what, we understand that JD Edwards is the core. We don't want to rip and replace, but we have lots of challenges around financial consolidations or supply and demand planning with things like constraint-based planning or what-if analysis. Let's bolt on a supply chain planning tool, not rip and replace, but start to create that strategy moving forward. Or, hey, based on you're on an older release of JD Edwards, you have lots of disparate systems today. Even with an upgrade, you're not going to be able to reduce that amount. Let's look to moving to more of a JDE to cloud full transformation. So we come and say, hey, based on everything we've learned, these are some recommendations that we have, and these are also the values that you gain from a cost, timeline, and efficiencies perspective. So once we've determined, hey, this is our path, this is our approach, we've agreed to where you guys feel makes the most sense, then we get into the tools that help from a project perspective. So these two tools are Ascend and Amplify, and depending on your direction, you would be using possibly one or the other. So the first one is going to be talking about Ascend. So Ascend is if we are making, or if the organization has made the decision, we are moving from JD Edwards to Fusion, right? We are moving everything from a data perspective, and we have built out this Ascend tool based on projects we've been through with other organizations to help that migration. For many of you on the call have been through an ERP migration before, and normally the long pole in the tent is the data migration, right? Grabbing the data from your on-prem or your old system and bringing it into the new system. Well, since we have background in both JD Edwards and Fusion, we have already built that mapping, right? So we know where business units live in JD Edwards, so we can pass those to cloud. Items, bombs, routes, work centers, whatever it might be, right? So we have built a tool which heavily reduces the level of effort on your side to get the data up to Fusion Cloud, right? Reducing lots of risks, reducing timeline of projects. And these are some examples of some of the data extracts that we focus in on. So I've talked about, right? Foundation systems, business units, chart of accounts, and finance, procurement, inventory. So based on the organization, this is going to be certainly tweaked, but this hits the high level values that many organizations need to move when they are transitioning from one ERP to another. So Ascend is a way for us to move data in a very efficient and timely manner based on us knowing both sides of the system. So the third tool is if we determine, hey, you know what, JD Edwards is going to stay the foundation, but we want to start to build around the edges, right? We want to bolt on a best-of-breed cloud solution. So we have built out a tool called Amplify, and Amplify, similar to Ascend, it is transferring data, right? But this is an integration type of situation. It's an ongoing integration. So we have already built out pre-built integrations from JDE Edwards to Fusion in a couple of the key areas that we see organizations focus in on, or specific technologies that may be lacking in JDE Edwards, right? Supply and demand planning are great examples. Constraint-based planning is always a struggle. What if analysis, replenishment management, things like that are types of features that JDE Edwards just doesn't have that many organizations are dealing with today. EPM for things like financial consolidation, PLM, and the stage gate processing. These are different integrations that we built to allow you to keep the foundation where it is, but also leverage best of breed technologies. Now, when we go through and determine where the areas or where the needs are from a JDE Edwards to cloud perspective, this is kind of a good informational view of the different breakouts of key areas and the feature functionality that is in JDE Edwards. So you'll notice in JDE Edwards, it has, the standard functions around the different areas. But as I break through or work through this different document here, you'll see it starts to determine, hey, what areas have a cloud advantage, right? So JDE Edwards has the features, cloud has the features. Where is there an advantage in cloud? And then finally, these are situations to where JDE does not have this capability. So I like to look at these different veins when I work with an organization and say, hey, which of these areas are you having pain points in? And if you're having area or pain points in, new product development and SNOP and IBP, integrated business planning, hey, we have a very good opportunity to bolt on cloud, get you all the feature functionality, but not rip and replace the entire foundation. So we like to leverage this visual view to help map where organizations may ultimately go. So we've talked about the 3 tools. Now we're going to talk about 2 specific customer stories, and one is going to be Amplify based, so organization who is leveraging JDE Edwards still as their foundational ERP and bolting on supply and demand planning, and the second one is going to be Ascend, which is a full move from JDE Edwards to Fusion Cloud. So I've got Andy with me from Banjo. So Andy, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Brian. Happy to be here.
So just a couple of questions for you. If you could, just tell everyone a little bit about Banjo and the markets that you serve.
Sure thing. Banjo makes valves, pumps, other hardware for accurate fluid management. We primarily serve the precision agriculture market, but our yellow handles can be seen just about anywhere fluid management is needed.
Great. And could you give me a little bit of background as to what the supply chain issues that drove you to bolt on supply and demand planning to JDE Edwards?
Absolutely. Like most other companies, we struggled with supply chain issues through COVID and then had to learn basically a whole new world post-COVID. We were left with an enormous backlog and supply chain processes that were just really highly reactive, and every day kind of seemed like a firefight. So we just needed to find something to give us a better view of what's coming in and going out, and something to help us plan more effectively for the future.
Awesome. So, you worked with Tailoring throughout the implementation. Could you speak a little bit to the benefit of working with an organization that knows both JDE Edwards and the Oracle Fusion side of the house?
Absolutely. Our JDE footprint, it's pretty small, but it's still really custom and complex. Because of that, we struggle finding partners to work with that have the resources really and really the patience to provide effective service. But working with Tailoring was extremely helpful. Having experts in both JDE and Fusion was absolutely crucial to a successful deployment. It was almost kind of, instant barrier remover. Having somebody who's there at the table with the JDE expertise showing us, something that we may not have known how to do before was just over the top helpful.
Great. Well, thank you, Andy, for some of those words. Now I'm going to jump over to Brian with Eco Energy.
Hi, Brian. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining. So, Brian, if you could, similar to, what Andy, if you could give me a little bit of background about Eco Energy.
Absolutely. So EcoEnergy is a clean energy and a low carbon solutions partner. We have a little over 30 years of business experience, with our expertise being in the marketing and transportation of biofuels, natural gas, both in the US and abroad. And we're beginning to dabble a little bit in the solar industry. So we're just leveraging the platform to reduce or curb the low carbon renewable fuels and product market.
Awesome. So could you give me some background on the approach that you guys took to the migration of to Fusion Apps?
Yeah, absolutely. And so obviously there's a strategic and a tactical side of that decision, right? And so I thought maybe the most valuable side of this would be maybe a little bit, just a couple of bullet points from the tactical side, because we found that obviously going with the Ascend methodology that you mentioned, going straight from our JDE Edwards platform over to the Fusion stack was the most beneficial for us. And what we ended up really focusing on was the planning and the design phases. I thought that those were like the most critical things, with the old saying going that the devil's in the details, right? And so we all knew that with one critical incident, we could be thrown into a tailspin. So we took a lot of time trying to capture the opportunities for the new features and upgrades that that Fusion provided. As well as we're going to the cloud, which was the first time that we had an application in the cloud. So there was an educational side of it and a data migration planning piece of it. And so we really focused on moving from the on-prem to the cloud. That was a big planning piece of it. And then finally, we of course had a huge dedicated project team that we felt like that we needed, at least from the IT side. We run a lean shop, so a lot of our folks were still working, doing their day jobs, and so having a project manager to manage some of those activities, I thought were really, really key to that process and that approach.
Great. So just quickly, if you could, now that you guys are live, maybe give me some understanding of the benefits that has been realized by the organization from moving to Fusion.
Absolutely, and there's 4 of them. One, our end user empowerment. We have allowed or provided access for dynamic ad hoc reporting tools, analytics, and dashboards that we didn't have before. We've seen the rise of some of the new super users within our departments that have the ability to get to information and solve problems that unfortunately were once relegated to the IT team. So that was a big win for us. And secondly, expanded functionality. I mean, we now utilize the new fixed asset management module and lease tracking, and so we take full advantage of things like the automated workflow and the super simple invoice approval functionality that we love. And so and I think this also lends itself to the scalability of the application as well. As we've continued to grow, we've had no issues in that functionality being available to us. Thirdly, the time savings. Man, we've cut our month-end close process down by 40% and shaved a month off of our external audit time at the year end. And so we receive stories like that from our accounting and finance staffs almost regularly, where measurable time savings have been reached. And then finally, the cost savings. I think we were certainly able to eliminate 2 packages by just going to the Fusion stack, and that was a reporting package and an external asset management package. And so our realized 5-year savings for TCO were probably estimated at about 40%. So those are 4, I think, key benefits.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Brian. That's a lot of good information. So just kind of wrapping us up, guys, from my section. So these are 2 quick examples of organizations that have gone through kind of the digital transformation journey, but there are lots of other ones that have taken on a similar type of approach. So thank you guys for the time, and I'll pass it back over to you, Amanda.
There we go. Took a second for unmute. Thank you, Brian. And thank you, Brian and Andy, for hopping in on that. That was great. All right, so next up, I will welcome Michael Hogan. Michael, you want to tell us about managed services?
Hi, folks. Welcome. My name is Michael Hogan, like they mentioned. I'm glad to be here, and I'm going to get right into managed services. We're going to talk a little bit today about some of the benefits, some of the things we do, some of the things that we've seen, and just some of the general services that we offer. See if I can take control here, if it is going to let me. Bear with me 1 second. All right, so let's talk a little bit about benefits of managed services and kind of some of the things that we're able to do for folks. Scalability, this is a big one. A lot of our customers, are saying, Michael, we need, 10 hours a week. Some of our customers say we need 40 hours a week. It really just depends. And one of the big benefits of kind of moving towards, utilizing our managed service offerings is just the ability to scale, right? One of the challenges we face with organizations is staffing, right? We're always looking for better staff. We're looking for more staff. But one of the nice things about the managed service offering is that we have the ability to kind of flex as your business needs. And we've seen that done a lot with some of our customers, especially for folks who are transitioning from, say, JD Edwards, for instance. As part of that digital transformation, a lot of times it's difficult to bring your internal resources up to speed on all the aspects of the cloud. And that's where folks like myself come in. I personally, just a little background about myself before I get too far into it. I'm a JD Edwards consultant originally. So I started out in JD Edwards a little over a decade ago, and then transitioned to cloud a few years back. And now I've been primarily supporting the cloud customers and cloud to JDE to cloud customers. So we've got some of those crossovers like the two mentioned before, both Eco, Banjo, and others. I enjoy working with their teams as well. But one of the things that you'll experience during those transitions or during that transformation period is the need for more help. And that's where my team comes in. A couple other things about some of the benefits of our managed services and kind of utilizing our service on that front is the fact that, as Jennifer and others mentioned, we've got senior level folks. So all of my resources on the service desk in particular are senior level folks. These are folks with 10, 15, 20 years of experience in ERP. And so when you call in with an issue, we're going to have the answers, or we're going to have people on standby that can get the answers. So we've got broad expertise in all the available modules that you'll see in the cloud. And we also, of course, have a full suite of JD Edwards expertise and JD Edwards experts at the ready as well. I focus primarily on the cloud, but I've got an incredible team of JD Edwards managed service folks as well that I work with regularly for some of these issues that cross over. And that's really where one of the benefits of having a cross-platform partner like us is that regardless of where the issue is, we're able to support that. One of the things we noted here is just staffing, and I kind of hinted upon it, but it's really difficult to staff for all of the modules. And that's really where we come in with different people on our team, are experts in particular subject areas. And so when issues come in or tickets come into the service desk, instead of you all having to necessarily staff for every module or every area of the systems, we have people that we can kind of divvy up tasks. And so that's one of the other benefits. Let me see if I can move this transition slide. It's a little slow. There it is. Okay. Other things that we do or benefits that we have over on the service desk is the development expertise. So developing in the cloud is a little bit different as well. And so we have a suite of developers on standby that are able to both help with custom reports. I regularly receive requests for development of custom reports in the cloud. And also we can provide expertise for some shops where you've got the expertise in-house, but you just need a little bit of help to get over the. So, I had a customer earlier this morning where they have the experts in-house, but they needed some assistance on integrations. And that's where I lined up one of our developers, and we were able to help them through getting an integration, trying to import some journal entries into the cloud. So that's just one area, is that we can also offer development expertise as well as functional knowledge. One thing I did want to mention here is benefits. We do have a 24/7 operation. So we have some night resources. This is for shops that maybe have difficulty today staffing for overnight problems. That's becoming more of an issue, especially as operations have continued to globalize. We've got a lot of offshore operations and folks who just basically need to have someone available for third shift. We do have third shift support available on the cloud as well, and on JD Edwards. So we've got third shift support for both sides of the business, and that's always tough, but it's necessary business. Some of the benefits that I see, one of the last things I put on here was just knowledge augmentation, right? This is something that I pride myself on, and my team is when we work with customers, one of the biggest roles that we have is really empowering the users. And I know Brian mentioned that a moment ago of, just empowering folks, teaching people to, take certain tasks back that may have been relegated historically to IT, kind of getting end users more responsible for some of their own UDCs and some of their own value sets that they can manage. And one of the best parts of our job for me is sitting with folks and kind of helping empower the users. So that's really one of the things that we like to do. Let me do this. Let me just move on to the next slide here. Some of our offerings, I wanted to put this out here. I know there's a lot on this slide, but we'll talk a little bit about what we do in managed services as far as the support desk. We do application troubleshooting in the cloud. So, this is especially relevant for customers that are transitioning or transforming from a JD Edwards only shop to a JD Edwards cloud, or cloud only, or maybe JD Edwards supplemented by cloud. Either way, the applications are different. There's different architecture. And so getting comfortable and getting, knowledgeable in some of those areas, that's where we come into play. Myself and my team are available, pretty much around the clock to offer you assistance. Sometimes it's as simple as checking into approvals. Sometimes it's much more complex, like you've got an integration that's not working. And that's where we come into play. License monitoring optimization. So as you transition or transform to the cloud, licensing becomes a much bigger topic of conversation. And that's one of the key areas that myself and my team try to help customers that are, getting more comfortable with that, especially coming from an on-prem platform. It's different. And so being aware of the concerns and some of the triggers on new licenses, and also just ways that we can be more proactive with how you use existing licenses. There are some functionality and forms that you may not need certain licenses. And that kind of nuanced expertise is something that my team and I offer. Other things that we do, process automations, security, logging of SR, these things. These are all skills that we have that we offer for you all. And it's definitely something that we, pride ourselves upon. I know we're running out of time, so I want to get through all this. We offer, like I said, 24-hour support. We are available via email, through our service portal, and we also can pick up a phone. Most of my customers call me by phone. So it's a miracle that my phone has not rung yet on this call because I get called all hours of the day to support our customers. Our response time is usually less than an hour. It's usually 15 minutes or less. We've got a great team, and I'm happy to be a part of it. And I apologize, but that's all the time I have. Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you so much. So yeah, we are at the top of the hour. Thank y'all for sticking around just a little bit longer. Any questions, please, send those in, email them, and then we'll be able to send that out along with the email with the recording, a reminder about the Pathfinder assessment. And also we will be at Cloud World in September. We hope to see you there. Thank you all so much for joining. Thanks to all the panelists, and we will talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks, folks. Have a good day. Bye-bye.